Double Cross, and Other Skills I Learned as a Super Spy by Jackson Pierce. Chapter 16. Otter and I told Fishburne that he'd been called out of the room by the doctor to discuss something to do with my test results, which is why I had to install the program. It worked like a charm. Fishburne was delighted I'd come through. I guess everyone loves an underdog story. "Kennedy!" I shouted as I walked into our apartment. I frowned when I saw the couch. Ms. Elma had been stabbing the upholstery again, then sewing it back together. Living with us wasn't very good for her head, which was worrisome. How much longer before they sent me and Kennedy to live in the SRS dorms? I shook off the concern. Once I got my parents back, living in SRS wasn't going to happen, period. Where would we live? A house somewhere? League headquarters? My mind twisted after everything that had happened. It was still hard to picture living anywhere but apartment 300. I headed towards my room to change into clothes that didn't smell like a hospital, reminding myself that when my parents came home, they'd sort out where we'd live. "Kennedy, where are you? You want to hear about my mission?" I called for her again. I walked to my bedroom and frowned. It sounded like my clock radio was on, turned up full blast. I creaked open my bedroom door. When it was just a few inches open, someone crashed into me. Kennedy, I could tell from the flash of red hair. She weighed so little that it didn't really do much to knock me to the ground as drag me there slowly. "Hey, what? What are you doing?" I said, half laughing. I found her face in the sea of hair and neon green shorts. Her eyes were wide, and she was holding a finger to her lips frantically. I let her finish dragging me to the carpet, and then leaned in so she could whisper in my ear. "Someone bugged our apartment." My heart sank deep into my stomach, dissolving among the bile that immediately twisted around in my gut. The apartment was bugged. Someone at SRS heard conversation I had with the League last night. I was caught. There was no point in running. It was all over. Kennedy jerked a finger towards my bed, and together we slowly, silently lifted the comforter up. On the bed, among my ruffled blankets, was the bug she'd discovered, a ruby earring and bracelet set. I turned on the radio real loud. "So I don't think they can hear us now, but who knows how long they've been here. They're old. I don't think they're SRS, Hale. I think, she dropped her voice even lower so that I almost couldn't hear her at all. "I think the League planted them." "Oh, no, I don't think it's the League," I said, trying to keep the visible relief off my face. "Maybe one of my friends planted it here as a joke." Kennedy's face twisted. I could tell she knew this was a lie, but didn't want to come right out and say, "But Hale, you don't really have friends anymore." Instead, she stared at the jewelry and clenched her small hands into fists. "Well, if that's the case, I'm reporting them. They can't keep acting like this." No, don't report it." I was torn between horror that she might report the bracelet and humiliation that my little sister was now trying to stand up to bullies for me. This was a new level of lame. Kennedy put her hands on her hips. I could tell she wanted to get much louder, perhaps even yell, but she didn't dare while stranger ears were listening. "Hale, they bugged our house. What if they are from the League, and this is how they got Mom and Dad?" "Why were you going through the linen closet anyway?" Kennedy gave me a sour look, but then cracked. She ducked her head into the ground and seemed to shrink before my eyes. "I didn't want to go snooping around in Mom and Dad's room, since it smells like Ms. Elma now, and that freaks me out. But the blankets in the closet they still smell like Mom, and so—" "Wait." She froze. Then she lifted an eyebrow. "I never told you I found them in the linen closet." I exhaled. Well, way to be a great spy, Hale. You just burned yourself to your little sister. Come over here, I said. Kennedy and I walked to the bed. We sat down on the edge together, and I reached back to pick up the jewelry set. You don't need to be afraid of these. I put them in the linen closet. You bugged our house? Kennedy asked. No, I was hiding them in our house. I didn't want Ms. Elma to find them. I didn't want you to find them either, but I figured you would if I left them in my bedroom, so don't freak out. But you're right. These do belong to the League. Her eyes widened. She was freaking out, but she was doing so silently, and I didn't admonish her for it. I continued. Kennedy, when I was in the League building, they told me that, well, I launched into the entire story. How SRS were the bad guys, how the League were helping me figure out Project Ground Cover, how I was officially a double agent. I ended it all by showing her the printout of Mom and Dad's file, the one that showed them listed as in the weeds. I didn't think it was possible, but her eyes widened even more. I poked her in the stomach, forcing her to breathe, which seemed to do her some good. Are you sure, Hale? Really, really sure? Because this is big, like huge, she whispered. I nodded. I'm positive. I wouldn't do it if I weren't positive. I think working with them might be the only way to get our parents back. In the weeds. They listed the team as in the weeds, she said breathlessly. I thought she was about to cry, but then Kennedy reached over and picked up the jewelry from my hand. She somewhat shakily wrapped the bracelet on her wrist and clipped the earrings to her earlobes. She looked ridiculous, like a little girl playing dress-up with her grandmother's costume jewelry. She lifted the bracelet to her lips and whispered, "Hello?" They might not answer if it's not me. They're underfunded, but I don't think they're going to just talk to any old person who comes across the comm. My name's Kennedy, she said, her voice warming a little. I put my head in my hands. Seriously, Clatterbook? What if she was someone from SRS looking to bust me? Yeah, she continued, now growing more enthusiastically. That was me. Hale and I wrapped all those guys up in the sign, and I tied that girl up in a net trap. Oh, yeah, I would like to talk to her. I felt a little bad about the whole thing. She seemed nice. I tried to feel bad, tried to make my gut twist with guilt for bringing Kennedy into all this insanity, but as she kicked back on my bed and bicycled her legs absently at the ceiling, talking to Beatrix, or was it Ben, on the other line now? I wasn't sure. I couldn't help but feel relieved that there was one less person to keep my secrets from. Kennedy, no, you can't come with me. If I get caught, I'm not taking you down with me, I said again and again and again. It was starting to sound like a song. You just never want me to do anything, Kennedy said. Or someone with Kennedy's voice said. It was a disguise day, and she'd been made up to be a brunette with 0 freckles and thick eyebrows. She looked nothing like Kennedy, but she still bounced around like a deer that had had too many sodas. I was halfway through applying my own disguise, a very old man with droopy eyes. It was a difficult one, and talking to Kennedy kept making the silicone wrinkles on my cheeks crack off. I reapplied a wrinkle and gave Kennedy a pointed look. What? It's not my fault you're becoming an old man. No one else picked the one that's so hard, she said, nodding towards the rest of the SRS student body. Altogether, there were about 75 of us. We were spread out around the cafeteria. The disguise department, which was usually carefully tended to and cataloged by a handful of agents, appeared to have exploded on us. Tables were covered in wigs and makeup pots and spilled spirit gum bottles, which was exactly why Disguise Day only came every few weeks. I watched a group of 8-year-olds being taught how to put wigs on. Hale, please, Kennedy whined. No, it's too dangerous, I said, fixing one of my wrinkles again. More dangerous than staying here with the people who want our parents dead? She asked. and I nearly tackled her to quiet her down. She looked pleased to have my full attention now, and she dropped her voice to continue seriously. I'm going to take my junior agent exam soon, Hale, and then I'm going to be a double agent like you, because you're my brother, and if something happens to you, I'll be stuck here all alone. I frowned, because this actually hadn't occurred to me. Kennedy was never alone. She was almost always surrounded by friends, but she was right, of course. She'd be all alone, and in the way that counted. I sighed. But I also can't just let you what? A male voice said behind me. I didn't have to turn and look. I saw the reflection in my mirror. Walter and the Foreheads. All three of them were wearing padded suits underneath their standard SRS uniforms, and they'd used silicone to plump up their cheeks. They'd disguised themselves as me. Well, a hilarious, super fat, super geeky version of me. Their eyes glowed, and they cracked up when they saw the look of recognition on my face. You like them? We used all the padding they set out, Walter said. How could this possibly be the same guy who told me he was sorry about my parents just a few days ago? It was like he'd gotten eaten by jerk aliens. Love them, I said. You look like someone who might do an amazing job improvising on a mission. Maybe someone that Fishburne would make a special announcement about. After the hospital mission for Evergreen, Fishburne had made a point of coming to my class to tell everyone what a great job I'd done improvising and how I'd really saved the day. Otter repeated the sentiments, though he didn't appear happy about having to call me the hero of the day. Fishburne never came to classrooms, so there was a lot of speculation as to why our mission warranted a visit. I heard everything from Hale actually took a bullet for Otter, but we're not supposed to know, down to Fishburne just wanted to make Hale feel good since his parents are missing. No matter what the theory, no one debated whether or not I'd done an excellent job. It didn't make me popular or faster or a junior agent, but it did make me a lot better armed for conversations like this one. We look like losers, Cameron corrected me. So I see, I said. Because we're dressed as you, Cameron added, growing frustrated that I still didn't appear offended. Get it? Because we're fat. Just shut up, Walter said, shoving Cameron. I wondered if SRS had a specialty program for people who would make especially good doorstops. Cameron seemed like the contender for a spot. Yeah, Kennedy said, putting her hands on her hips. All of you shut up. Hale is 20 times the spy you are. Walter laughed hard. He's 20 times the spy we are, that's for sure, he said, grabbing his fake stomach. Kennedy looked wounded. I gave her a weary look, and she trudged back to join her classmates, clearly more embarrassed than I was about the whole thing. I glued another piece of silicone on, ignoring Walter and the Foreheads, who looked disappointed with the short lifespan of their joke. Hale, someone said in a gravelly voice. Walter and the other Foreheads stepped away to reveal Miss Elma and Otter, though I wasn't totally sure which one had said my name. Ms. Elma's scar made the plastic ones the 10-year-olds were applying look ridiculous. I need some measurements, she said. Disguise for your next mission. Jaws dropped. I went ahead and dropped mine too, because even though I wasn't surprised, given how good my dirt on Otter was, I needed to look it. He's going on another mission? Walter asked, voice cracking. But he hasn't even tested into junior agent yet. It was Fishburne's decision, Otter said immediately, which I know was supposed to mean I didn't do this. He still couldn't look me in the eyes. I was pretty okay with that. Ms. Elma was flickering around her tape measure, whipping me like a lizard's tongue. She scribbled some information onto a pad and then turned to Walter. You too. What? I'm going on another mission? Walter grinned, but then realized what this meant. Wait, I'm going on a mission with him? Stop fidgeting, Miss Elma said, oblivious to Walter's social concerns. She wrapped the tape measure around Walter's head as he looked pleadingly at Otter. The foreheads were laughing so hard that the padding in their hail costumes was jiggling out. Please, come on, man, don't send me with him. Call it a favor. I'll clean your office. I'll take venom collecting duty for a week. I don't assign missions, Quattlebaum, Otter said, and then turned to walk away. He called back over his shoulder. It's Operation Evergreen, just like your last mission. Jordan briefing files will be delivered tonight. I saw a sort of pleased sneer on his face, which was never a good sign. Any time Otter was pleased, I was miserable.